Welcome to Nature of Sovereignty. I'm Ian Gates. Today's guest is Square Crypto's product manager, Conor Okus. He and his team provide grant opportunities for the world's developers to work and innovate upon the Bitcoin network, whether it be Lightning development, Bitcoin UX design, or providing easy to use development kits. It's Square Crypto's aim to help fund economic empowerment and financial accessibility globally. If you're a developer and are interested in working on any of the initiatives Connor mentions, please feel free to reach out. This is why we do this. Square Crypto's future is bright. They have the right people and carry an open source ethos that will usher in the next generation's innovators. I'm excited. Welcome to another episode of Nature of Sovereignty. I have with me the product manager at Square Crypto, Conor Okus. Pleasure to have you on.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. First, I mean, we were talking a little bit beforehand about Square Crypto and all the great people that is working there. First, I'm just curious, how did you get started at Square Crypto and got the product manager job?
Yeah, so I mean, I've been kind of in the Bitcoin space since early 2017, just like learning, just like everyone else. Um, I have a software engineering background, so prior to becoming a product manager at Square Crypto, I'd been working at kind of like large organizations and some startups, predominantly doing software engineering. And then kind of over the last couple of years, I've just been finding ways, once you discover Bitcoin, you kind of go down a rabbit hole. And for me, having a technical background, it was kind of a combination of, yes, like, you get into it perhaps for the investment side of it, but you realize there's a whole technology and technological innovation underpinning it. So I wanted to contribute to that. So I helped organize a conference here in London called Advancing Bitcoin. And that's designed predominantly for developers, designers, people who are building a protocol, people who are doing like application level development to kind of come together, do workshop, listen to talks, kind of understand the latest things that are going on at that level on the network. Um, and then as of summer 2020, Square Crypto we have a grant program which we can talk a bit about in detail a bit later. But essentially, it funds open source designers and developers, and I was a recipient of that last summer. So yeah, as of last summer, I got to work on Bitcoin predominantly full time. I left where I was working as a software engineer, started working on Bitcoin open source for a 6-month period. And then when that period finished, I joined Square Crypto kind of full time. So yeah, I worked on various projects throughout that time as well. I can talk about them a bit later as well. And then yeah, joined Square Crypto full time as of kind of like early this year.
Great. Um, So with Square Crypto, is it sort of like a incubator? Is it a place where developers can come and sort of try to innovate on new ideas, and it's like a funding of these projects? What's the main sort of mission and goal as a whole?
Yeah, so I think take a little step back. So the kind of inception of Square Crypto starts with Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter and Square. And it's no secret that he's a big advocate and a big proponent of
Absolutely.
Bitcoin, someone
Yeah.
who's very enthusiastic about it. Square's mission is economic empowerment and financial accessibility for people all around the world. This very much aligns with Bitcoin's principles and philosophy as well. Where Square have got to, they've had to lean a lot on open source software. So for anyone who's not familiar with open source software, it's software that's freely available for people to download, to distribute, to change, to contribute to as they see fit. And Square have lent on that as have many other companies. And so Jack asked the question, what is the best way we can kind of give back to this ecosystem, this open source Bitcoin ecosystem? And the conclusion of that is that we can hire people and pay them to help move the Bitcoin ecosystem forward. And so as of 2019, a team was formed consisting of product managers and software developers to help move the Bitcoin ecosystem forward in a number of different areas, predominantly focused on the user experience, privacy, security, and scalability. So our team's very much focused on that. And it's important to note that our team is Square Crypto is very independent of Square, the organization, in that we don't have any business objectives that are kind of similar to Square's. Our objective predominantly is just to move forward the open source ecosystem. So it's very, very unique in that respect. And so, like, how do we do that? You mentioned a bit about being an incubator and stuff like that. It's not quite. So we have kind of a couple of things that we do. So one of them is the grant program. So we have the Square Crypto grant program, where we're currently funding close to 30 designers and developers across roughly 20 different countries. And these people are contributing to Bitcoin in various ways and on a whole host and a variety of different projects. So, for example, we fund the open source payment processor, BTC Pay Server, which you might be familiar with, which allows a merchant to basically be their own payment processor. We fund some very important Lightning infrastructure projects that we hope to make that we hope will make Lightning more secure and more scalable. We
Could you
fund the
actually go into that a little bit? Because I know you have the
yeah
Lightning Development Kit and also
yeah
the Bitcoin Design Community and Bitcoin Developing Kit. So I'm
yeah
assuming these are sort of open source kits that allow developers to come in and work on these development projects. Could you go into that a little
yeah.
further?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So the Lightning Development Kit specifically, I'll talk about in a minute, because that's an endeavor that my team works on quite directly, and we maintain that
Cool.
project. But in
Cool.
terms of some of the other like Lightning projects, so we've got a project called that we fund called the Eye of Satoshi, which is an implementation of basically watchtowers. So watchtowers, when you open a channel, without getting too technical, but on the Lightning Network, when you open a channel with your peer, there's multiple state updates that happen over time. And so in the event that someone attempts to broadcast a transaction from a previous state that could perhaps essentially take your funds, watchtowers basically keep an updated version of that state such that it prevents your counterparty from cheating you out of funds, essentially. So that's like a really important infrastructure type of project, and that's open source and that's available for people to view. And we fund developers working on that project specifically. So that's just an example of an infrastructure project. We also fund people who are working on Bitcoin Core directly, which is the reference implementation of Bitcoin and that most nodes and miners are running. We fund developers working on that. For example, Gloria Zhao, who is also being funded by other companies such as Brink. And she's working on like a very specific thing to do with mempools, for example. So memory pools where pending transactions are. She's trying to look at the combination of trying to ensure incentivized transactions and mining incentives kind of align with the fee market that exists within the mempool. So kind of super like low level kind of stuff at the protocol level. And then we have stuff that's trying to improve the user experience as well. So we instantiated the Bitcoin design community as well, which is a community designed for UX people, designers, product designers, more creatives who essentially want to try and improve the user experience in Bitcoin. Because I'm sure, as you are aware of using wallets and using different types of products, we're not
Yeah.
quite ready for
You have
mass
to be tech
adoption.
savvy. Yeah.
You have
Right.
to be quite tech savvy, right? And we're not quite ready for mainstream adoption with regards to where the user experience is at currently. And so we've we've created this community that are trying to solve a whole host of UX problems. And we fund designers in that community as well, who are predominantly working on something called the Bitcoin Design Guide, which is an open source guide that product teams, developers, designers can use as a framework to build Bitcoin wallets and other types of Bitcoin products without having to necessarily, giving them a base from which
Yeah,
to build
from
these things.
instead of starting from scratch, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have a foundation, and the user experience, the UX, is so important moving forward in terms of mass adoption, because most people in the world, they don't have the technical savviness and capabilities as us in, you know, our little tech hub, and that might keep people away from adopting a Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies, just because it's just, you know, too technically advanced. So we have to find a way to Amazon one click button transactions, or just like a one click, very, you get a notification, click the button, I send my funds, boom, it's done. Or I know in Nigeria, I believe it's a yellow card. Where they're making it easy for people, once they receive Bitcoin funds, they can go to an ATM and get that back in cash. So like a person's grandmother is like, okay, well, you just sent me, you know, point 0.2 Bitcoin. Now, how do I get this out? How do I spend this? How do I turn this into my local currency? So they're partnering with different local banks and getting the ATMs where they can just plug and play basically, and then receive out cash. So the user experience is so incredibly important. And that's kind of like where I'm trying to push, like make it easily digestible for the everyday user. Like they don't have to know about the mempool or SHA-256. Like they don't need to have this understanding.
How to
They
set
want
up
to,
lightning channels or whatever it might be. Yeah.
right. They just want to send their money, their currency, maybe across to another nation or what have you. Seamless transaction, and then to make sure the other party member gets it. So I'm glad that you guys are at least building a foundation for that. Now, you said that you're working directly on the Lightning development kit with your team. Could you talk about that? Can you expound?
Yes. Yeah, cool. So we have 4, I guess, in-house developers who are working on something called the Lightning Development Kit. So just quickly, like the Lightning Network is a layer on top of Bitcoin that allows for instant transactions, and it's the predominant method of scaling Bitcoin at the moment. And so there are a few implementations of the Lightning protocol, predominantly LND and C Lightning. And these implementations take a slightly different take on what we're doing with the Lightning Development Kit, in that all of the main features of the Lightning protocol are kind of baked into one, I guess, piece of software or one code base. So, for example, the way you back up channel state, or the way you source blockchain data, or what else is there? Or things of that nature, or channel backups, for example, or how you back up private keys. All of these things are kind of baked into the protocol, and you have to use them as defined by these implementations. What the Lightning Development Kit does is kind of pulls apart these pieces and makes them a little bit more modular, so a developer can decide how they want to implement those specific features. So, for example, I just mentioned sourcing blockchain data. A product team, a developer might decide the best way they want to do that is by running Bitcoin Core itself on an external server and accessing that data over HTTP or some other protocol. They might decide to use Neutrino or Explorer or something of that nature to source blockchain data. So it gives them that level of customizability that currently doesn't exist in LND or C Lightning, for example. And so the main benefits for a developer is that they can Lightning Development Kit supports multiple languages. So one of the benefits for a developer is that they can code in a language of their choice, essentially. So we're in the process of we support Rust, C, Java, and Kotlin. So mobile developers can build mobile apps using Swift and Kotlin and Java in a way that the low level logic is handled by us, and you can kind of focus on like customizing the experience
Customizing. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
your needs, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And this is, I think this is very important because what you're kind of explaining is there's different, as you were saying, modules, different packets where you can customize or you can use a particular browser or different aspects about it, but you don't have to code from the jump, just start. Like you have a couple of base frames that you can
yeah,
work with, and you can decide which features and which functions that you want to implement. So that's like that ground sort of level that you least allow them that base functionality. Now, if somebody wants to work on this development kit, because we actually have a couple of developers on our side that's connected with BBB, and then they're trying to work on these projects. Is it something? Do I tell them to call Connor? Like,
um,
how do people who are technically savvy and has knowledge base in this area to work on something like this?
yeah, you can definitely hit me up. Just to go back a little bit.
Okay.
This has come about because building wallets is very difficult right now. Like it can take a product team like a very long time to start a wallet from scratch, and that's perhaps why we haven't seen like a huge proliferation of and choice of wallets of high quality to use, because the tools are not quite there. And in other ecosystems within the crypto space, this is where some of those projects perhaps shine, because developers like to play around, developers like to be creative, and Bitcoin is can be a very rigid and slow-paced environment. And so with these kits now, we can kind of increase the intensity and tempo at which people can build at, and hopefully that will see like the proliferation of better wallets and better products. So in terms of how people can contribute, so like the Lightning Development Kit, for example, is open source. You can head over to lightningdevkit.org. That's currently where our main documentation site is hosted. It's still very, very early days, and we're still kind of building out the documentation and making sure it's in a place where people feel comfortable to get started. But yeah, you can kind of like jump in. It's available on GitHub. You can reach out to me or members of our team to kind of find out where the status of the project is and how you best fit into that. We're also, if someone wanted to work on it full time, like I mentioned earlier, we do have the grant program, and we are actively always looking for people to work on Bitcoin full time. So we do have like resources to support people in that way as well. So yeah,
Could you
everything's
name yeah, could you name a few of the grants that's available right now that people are interested in right now?
so the grant is kind of like it's the same thing, but what we fund are different projects. So the grant consists of it's a 1-year grant. Developers, designers can work from anywhere in the world, anywhere of their choosing, on their own time. They kind of are their own manager in some regards. But it's just down to like the 4 pillars. Does someone want to work on something that's going to move the ecosystem forward with regards to the user experience, privacy, scalability, and security? And so it has to be obviously Bitcoin only, because that's kind of what we're focused on at the moment. And so the process looks like, initially reaching out to me or a member of our team, letting us know your interest, submitting a proposal of what you'd like to work on. If you go on our website, you'll see like the different kind of projects of funding and the developers and the designers as well. So it might be a case where you see a project that you like on there and you feel like you want to contribute to something like that, or if you have something that's slightly different, we're happy to kind of have those conversations as well, you know. So we're kind of like really flexible with how we do things at Square Crypto.
Cool. That's awesome. I know a couple people who might be good for a project like this. They might hit you up. So I know the one additional thing that you're doing is you have this educational platform, Hello Bitcoin. And I was on there. I'm not sure. I got through a couple of videos, the YouTube. So it's like almost an explainer guide of why Bitcoin is important for society, humanity. Like, and you make it nice and easy. You have good graphics. Whoever's your graphic designer in there, I think it does a great job. I don't know if that's you or not, but so can you explain a little
Definitely
bit more?
That's a combination of a few of the members from the Bitcoin design community, actually.
Right,
So
right.
shout out to
I was like,
them,
those are good graphics. Those are good graphics. So could you explain more about Hello Bitcoin, what it is, and why you decided to, bring it to life?
Yeah, so Hello Bitcoin is a educational platform designed to help the kind of average user understand Bitcoin in a friendly way. I think can oftentimes be this asymmetry of information between people who already perhaps work in the tech space or finance and things of this nature, and their ability to understand Bitcoin is far greater sometimes than those that maybe don't have access, or who perhaps might be a bit intimidated to learn about Bitcoin. And so it's ultimately designed to be like the most trusted place to come and learn about the very basics of Bitcoin. And the way we do that is through video content at the moment. So we've released 3 videos at the moment. We try to do things of high quality and things that will kind of last the test of time. We have 3 videos at the moment explaining the kind of why of Bitcoin, why it's a tool for human freedom and how it actually works. And we have another video coming up around like the environmental impact of Bitcoin, because I know that's like quite a hot topic right now as well.
Right, the energy FUD.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much energy FUD going on. And so in addition to like the videos and education we do with regards to that, we also have like the community aspect where people can come and ask questions in our Discord chat or over Twitter or even on Instagram. And so we're trying to create this community and environment where it's less intimidating to come and ask the more fundamental and the beginner questions, because one could argue that you don't need to know the depth of certain technology to be able to benefit and use it. But we think Bitcoin is unique in that it's a very revolutionary and very life-changing piece of technology. And we think that, this is one of those opportunities we have to educate people and give them the best opportunity to understand it. We want to build, we want to help build kind of Bitcoiners with strong conviction and people who really get the why behind what we're doing. And so, yeah, so far it's been really good. The kind of project has been revamped as of kind of late last year. There was initially it started off my friend Matt Belez, who created a set of slides that he wanted to essentially present at his local library, I think it was. And then he took a bit of a break and we kind of met up and kind of our thoughts aligned with where the project could go. And so it's kind of where we're at the moment. And so we just hope to continue to like pump out more content of high quality stuff that lasts the test of time and just be like the friendly faces of Bitcoin, because I'm sure as you're well aware, if you send anyone to go and learn about Bitcoin on Twitter, they might not come out the other side.
No, not at all. You get a bunch of have fun staying poors and you loser. Like, it's rough. It's a hostile territory at times.
Yeah.
So yeah,
hostile,
it's good to have a friendly platform to help educate and walk them through holding their hand.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we're just getting started. Again, we're on our fourth video. We're writing the script for a fifth as well. And then we're going to hopefully go into some more of the like practicals, like how do you self custody your own Bitcoin safely,
Very important.
all of these kind of things, So
Awesome. Well, Connor, what you're doing at Square Crypto is absolutely amazing. And the whole project, because what you're allowing, you and your team is allowing for developers to come and they don't have to start from scratch. They have a foundation and they can more use that time and energy to innovate, right? Because they have that foundation. They can innovate, experiment, and try different things to help push the ecosystem forward. So I'm excited for you and your team and to watch Square Crypto grow. So I'll definitely be sending a couple of developers your way and see how we can help out.
yeah, please do. Sounds good, man.